I got an interesting question on yesterday's video, which was, would it be beneficial to CG if a bunch of us creators created a Comicsgate version of Image to get more reach and more eyeballs on CG stuff? It's an interesting question. It's definitely not the first time it's been asked. For anyone who isn't aware, in the early days of CG, well, just look at the landscape. The early days of CG, obviously you're looking at almost entirely, it was made up of fans of YouTube channels, essentially. Comic book fans, mainstream comic book fans, some independent fans as well. But in those early days, CG was almost entirely fans and a handful of creators. So, yeah, a lot of people were very upset back in 2017 when creators came in and monetize the hashtag. It was supposed to just remain a hashtag. This was a real rift that happened. It sort of preceded the bigger pivot towards Comicsgate moving away from criticizing the mainstream more to focusing on creating our own books. But others at the same time, and there was a lot of them, said, Comicsgate's biggest mistake back in 2018 was not forming a company, Comicsgate, the comic book publishing company, Image 2.0. Like there was a big number of people who really believed that was what we should have done. In my mind, the magic of Image, though, was it was the best artists of the day, and it was just artists from what I understand. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was mostly artists who left the mainstream at the peak, the pinnacle of their careers, to go and form their own company. That was the magic of it. I don't think, even though we had Ethan Van Sciver, John Malin, a handful of other names, I don't think it was 12 or so of the biggest names. Like Ethan it was one of them, sure. Eventually, Shane Davis would come over, Kenneth Rocafort, Graham Nolan. But I don't know who would have been the 12 biggest names of the day, but yeah, I don't think that's what happened. And either way, even if that is what happened, I still think it would have been a disaster. Even if it would have been a terrible decision at the time to do. We weren't just going out on our own. We were building an entirely new network, because to be Comicsgate meant you were locked out. You were blocked from everything that had existed, that was already existing. The distribution networks, even the stores were, the majority of them were saying we will never stock a Comicsgate. Maybe not the majority of them, but a lot of them were loud about it. And people were definitely worried about it. Stocking Comicsgate books. So we were building a whole new thing, a whole new way of doing business here on YouTube, selling comics through YouTube. A single company. There's so many things that could have gone wrong. I mean, we've seen over the last 4 years, it's almost 5 years now, how people have falling outs. There's egos. There's all sorts of craziness. The fact that this is happening on YouTube means there's a lot of drama that can become attached to these things. And the single company would have been like a vector for attack. And being a company, it could have been attacked in other ways that you couldn't necessarily go after just some guy with a YouTube channel. There's legal attacks. There's all sorts of ways that the things can be messed with and blocked, and we've seen that happen. So as it was, like guys like Ethan, guys like Zach, they were the biggest players in the space, and they sort of acted like gas giants in a solar system. Like they took a lot of the barrage of asteroids that were thrown towards Comicsgate, and they have for a very long time. And what that did is it created a Goldilocks zone in the middle for up and coming new people to come into the space and thrive. And we've seen that happen. We've seen people come from nothing and be no names to, raising sometimes $100,000 on their campaigns. But, very much a lot of them making, really, really making a go of it in ways that wasn't possible before. Now, if they had have been sort of, as you would imagine, being a nobody with a dream, just wanting to build something from scratch, you probably wouldn't have been able to come into a Comicsgate company and just start your book. It wouldn't have worked like that. It would have been very, exclusive and inward focused rather than, I hate that term, inclusive and, growing. That's the whole point of this thing, is to grow. So I do think our independence ended up being actually our biggest strength. Oh, that gets now I sound like friggin' Obama, but it's true. It's true. As Comicsgate creators, we are in. Even though we love to see each other succeed, we are in direct competition with each other, and it's that competition that makes us the best, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, or at least it creates fertile ground in which the best comics can grow out of. How about that for an analogy? And at the same time, instead of being known as a company, another company, it's like we've got Dark Horse, we've got this and that. Well, we've got Comicsgate as well, and everyone hates them. No, CG remained a fan base, still is, very much so. Like when you talk about Comicsgate, you're talking majority fans, people who read books and back books. But it's also a promotional network. It's a safe haven for professionals who have sort of been blacklisted or just aged out unfairly because they're not the right race, they're not the right age, they're not the right orientation, whatever, blah blah blah. You can still consider it a movement if you're into fighting the culture war. It's like a set of ideals. It's all sorts of things, and it's a bit like in quantum mechanics. The more you try to measure something, the more impossible it comes to define. Like that's how it is. It's like all these things in stasis at the same time, and that works for us. Comicsgate is growing. Comicsgate is thriving. I don't think we really want to or need to bring in any sort of middlemen to come and manage what we're doing here. The direct from creator to customer is, that's a massive deal. That's something that no matter how good a mainstream pro artist is, that's something that they don't necessarily have, at least not in the way that we do here in Comicsgate. Not in the way that we foster and support and encourage, at least. But that was then. Fast forward to 2022, and Comicsgate already does band together a lot on a lot of things. Let's look at Ethan with all caps. He's publishing Kanuga and Ritter and Martin and maybe others to come in the future. I'm not sure, but that happened. We've got shows like the Jack Show. You get a bunch of YouTubers together. They jump from channel to channel, growing each other's influence. And that show's growing. It's up to like over 1,000. It didn't used to have over 1,000 people watching it when it started. And now we've got the Ballers doing the same thing, and they're growing their channels. And that show is growing gangbusters. There's other ways as well that people might not be aware of, like in DM groups, for example. There's certain Comicsgate DM groups that sort of pop up. In those, I see people strategizing, how's the best? Should we do this, promote this, share knowledge, share suppliers, all sorts of things like, oh, this guy's a great box. This guy put his comics in a great box. I love the look of it. How can I do that? Well, just reach out to him. We can share that knowledge, pull all that important know-how together to build up what we're doing here and make it all better. So even if there isn't a specific Comicsgate company, there's like it's all sort of working together. We're very supportive of each other and figuring out that way. If there was a if someone were to make a company. Okay, so first of all, it shouldn't be called Comicsgate, like 100%. Like, just say some creators wanted to band together. Say we'll take 10 creators, say, hey, let us join forces and publish under one imprint. And that means we will all support each other, but we'll also pool our resources. Okay, they can choose to do that. The question is, would that help? Would that help in terms of getting them out there, getting them seen, help them sell more books? I don't know. I don't really see how. I think, what's a much better idea would probably be to do what the guys on the Jack Show or the Ballers are doing. It's about getting eyeballs on what you're doing. So unless someone in that group, in that company, has some sort of special access to a platform or a distribution network, or they have some specific know-how that is incredibly valuable that no one else has got yet, yeah, I don't see how it would really help in terms of selling more books and getting those books out there. And even then, even if you were to get into stores and libraries and Scholastic and everything, you really need a big back catalog. And I just don't think enough of us have that yet. And I don't think we have the capability yet to produce one in a quick enough time that sort of system requires. We're still very much tethered to crowdfunding, and I'm a massive supporter of crowdfunding. Don't interpret me as like putting crowdfunding down. I think it's going to take years and years for us to sort of build up that back catalog, build up these IPs to a point where we can really start injecting massive amounts of capital into getting these things out cheaper, more often. We're not there yet. Check back in 5 years. Hopefully we will be. But I'm not sure. It could be 5 years, could be 10 years. I'm not Nostradamus. So yeah, I don't know if it would necessarily get more eyeballs. And personally for me, I mean, I treasure my independence. I'm very happy. I didn't even have an imprint. I just published my books, put my name on it. I didn't do the company thing. Anyway, in my mind, it's like the fewer cooks in the kitchen, the purer the menu. That's how I look at it. And the less opportunities for things to go wrong with fewer people involved. That's how I see it. But, if people can make it work, more power to them. Just remember that your chain is only as strong as the weakest link. And that remains true in and outside of comics. Guys, that is it. I love these questions. Keep them coming in the comments. There's also another one I'm waiting for a clarification on. That's a doozy, actually from the same guy who asked this one. So please, if it was a Daniel Russell, I believe, please, if you can clarify on the other question, that would be awesome. Other than that, I hope you liked the video. Give it a like, subscribe. Please consider becoming a member. The members are going off. Thank you so much to everyone who's gifting members. You know who you are. You guys, just thank you so much. I mean, you're really helping me to create comics right now. And I can't thank you enough. I will see you guys later on a live stream. Until then, have a great time. All right, bye.